So first off, I'm going to ask for 2 pieces of audience participation. For the first one, it's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. I promise nobody's going to disappear, and there won't be any animals arriving either. Okay? So, for those of you whose birthday is between today and December the 31st, could you please stand up? Okay. Anybody's birthday today? Anybody's birthday this week? Okay. Second piece of audience participation. This is everybody. Just imagine for a moment that rather than being the learning, talent experts that you are a member of the public. You do a role, a different type of role, a different type of responsibility. Because the message today I come with is bad. The bad news is, just stand for a second, that within the next 10 to 20 years, as a result of technology, all of you standing or all of you sitting, your jobs will disappear. You may now sit. So, ladies and gentlemen, the supposition is technology is going to drive the working population down. Now, is that a good thing or is that a bad thing? And by the way, this isn't anything that I've made up or my organization has made up. This is from some heavyweight survey from Oxford University. I'm sure you can see it on the screen. So this is real stuff. Now, over a period of the 20th century, the technology has promised many things. Has it delivered? There's a couple of different scenarios. One is that it brings with it jobs and prosperity for all, happiness, wealth, and success. Or alternatively, does it bring scenario 2, which is unemployment and stagnation? Let's see where this journey takes us over the next 30 minutes or so. So during the 20th century, there's been a race, a perpetual race between people and technology. And for most of the 20th century, people, we have won that particular race. Now, why is that? It's a good question. Why is that? Because as people came in from agriculture, they came in from the countryside, they got better educated. Public education systems were in place. We were all better educated. In addition, learning and development, talent management, all came about in a way to cross-skill and train people to evolve into different roles and responsibilities as time progressed. However, the rules of this particular race are changing, and they're changing very quickly. Let's look at some stats. These are US stats, but these are applicable across the globe. And these stats talk about what the productivity are. So what it says is that we're all becoming more productive, which is good. However, our real incomes are staying flat. So in real terms, we are worse off. We're doing more, but we're getting paid essentially less. That might be good if you're an employer, but not necessarily good if you're on the receiving end of those things. Let's look at some real examples of how that works. Let's take a big organization like Kodak. At its heyday, it employed 140,000 people. Its market cap was over $28 billion. It invented the first digital camera. This was an organization that was ahead of its time. It went into Chapter 11 in January 2012. It did come out of Chapter 11. It became a slightly different company. Let's look at alternative. So here's an organization called Insta. They were only formed 4 years ago. Apple bought them, not Apple. Facebook bought them for $1 billion a few years ago. When they were purchased, 30 million users used Insta. Now, the big thing is, at the time of purchase, they only employed 13 people. There's a great example of how technology destroys things. So let's look at another example. Here's the newspaper industry. Here's an example, the Washington Post. Circulation down 70% since the 1950s. Employment down over 40%. Google generates more from advertising revenue than the whole of the newspaper industry across the world. It used to employ over 400,000 people in 2001, now down to 246,000 people. Where's all that gone? Here's a great little organization, Californian-based, founded in 1995, has over 50 billion page views per month. This is where all the classified ads have gone. You can post your classified ad there for free. And guess what? It only employs 40 people. So in this week's Fortune, for those of you that are Fortune readers, is doing some analysis of America's Fortune 500 companies by state. In California has 54 organizations that are in the Fortune 500. 39 of them weren't in the Fortune 500 10 years ago. Of those 39, half of them are either tech or biotech companies. Things are changing. Give you another extreme. In New York has lost 16 organizations from its financial services sector who were in the Fortune 500 but are there no longer, aren't there anymore. Things are changing. So, what this chart tells you, and again, this is has global applicability whilst it is a US chart, it says that we're not making stuff anymore. There's big growth in services, but guess what? The people that are making things are in steep decline and have been in decline for some considerable time. You say, well, Robbie, that's not rocket science, is it? So what does that mean? It means that there are many jobs, there are many roles that are disappearing. So whilst I'll run through this list, so whilst you will recognize them, and they tend to be of a US description, you'll recognize them for what they are, and pretty much you can see that they have all but disappeared. This is sorry? I'll read them out then. Thank you for telling me. So, we have a cross-section of jobs. Travel agents, cashiers in banks, telephone operators, toll booth operators, advertising managers. These are all roles that are disappearing. Newspaper reporters. The supposition is in the next 20 years, it will be even more dramatic. So why is that? It's because historically, technology has automated manual processes. Going forward, technology is going to automate cognitive processes. So I'll read these out, seeing as we can't see them. So there's a list of technology which is either upon us now or will be upon us. Machine intelligence, autonomous technology, mobile robotics, the Internet of Things, computational statistics, and machine vision. These are all technologies which are either here now or will be with us very soon. So the left turn problem. In the UK, it's the right turn problem. The right turn problem is 5 years ago, nobody ever thought they could invent a car which could actually navigate a right turn. So just go with me. You're in your car, you want to turn right, you're going across traffic, there could be pedestrians crossing the road. That, people thought, would be a big problem for an automated car. Guess what? That's gone away. So in California, there are many of these things running around. They fixed the left turn problem. So it must be real, because when you have a cartoon about it, it kind of says it's real. This is a cartoon from a San Diego newspaper. If you read the small print, it's talking about someone sitting in the back being taken to the employment office looking for another job. Now, I don't know if those of you that are in London when the taxi drivers struck because of GoApp, Goodness knows what's going to happen when these things start appearing in London streets and replacing taxi drivers, replacing limo drivers, replacing delivery drivers, because the reality is that's what's going to happen. Now, I'm not sure what's going to be more a happier drive, sat in the back of a car where nobody's talking to you, or you got some chippy taxi driver telling you what's what about everything. Anyway, that's another story. 47%, just in case you've forgotten the number, 47% of all jobs are disappearing. So here's some stats. This is about the probability within the next 10 to 20 years of the types of jobs that will disappear. So the good news is, you can just about see that if you're a dentist or a vicar, the good news is you're unlikely to be disappearing. As we go further up that chart, you can see, or maybe you can't see, if you're an estate agent or if you're an accountant, there's a very high chance of your job disappearing. Now, I'm not sure whether there'll be too many people who disappointed about estate agents' jobs disappearing, but that's the harsh reality of where the technology is taking us. As you can see, probability moving to 1, the higher chance of that type of role is going to disappear. So if you want here's a scary book you want to read about what's coming. Future Shock by Mr. Toffler. Bit of light reading, that will keep you entertained, keep you worrying about your job prospects. So, what does that mean to me? What does it mean to you? And what does it mean in terms of the role of talent management? It's going to be about how you prepare your people and your organization for the future. How are you going to do that? Any ideas? So, there is a view which says that evolution of organizations is similar to biological evolution, in that the species that survive are subject to natural selection. Dinosaurs died away, they didn't adapt, they didn't change. The same with organizations. The ability to adapt to change is absolutely vital. Let's look at some of these organizations. So we've talked about Kodak. Hopefully you can see BlackBerry. 5 years ago, how many of you had a BlackBerry? 3 years ago. Anybody got a BlackBerry now? Yeah! I love my BlackBerry. It was really sad when I had to give it up. So Blockbuster. Who lived in a place where there was a Blockbuster? Anybody now live in a place where there's a Blockbuster? Where's that? Whoa, there you go. It's good to see they're still surviving. So these organizations weren't able to adapt. They didn't adapt. Technology got them. Adaptability is absolutely everything. Organizations that are able to adapt, they've got all the attributes, so they've got the right people. And just in case, no, you can't read that, can you? So I'm going to take you through what it says. So organizations that are adaptable are populated by smart, engaged, and happy people. And in addition, there are a number of attributes that organizations have. Culture is a very strong attribute. Technology, you've got to have the right environment, you've got to have the wellness perspective. Diversity, of course, is absolutely critical, as well as organization and design. These things are absolutely vital. And of course, in order to help manage that, a new type of talent management platform is needed. It's going to help you guys, right? It's got to be intelligent, because if you're competing with technology which is intelligent, you've got to need a platform which is going to help you get there. So, what's it going to need? Can't read that, it's in blue. So, I'll take you through what it's going to need. It's got to be designed for the end user. It's got to be designed for the people that are going to use the system. It's got to be architected for the modern cloud. It's got to be flexible and capable of working in the current and future platform that's coming. It's got to be able to unify all of the appropriate talent processes that are in place. It's got to be built for touch. It's got to be there to be able to be used. It's got to be socially encoded. It's got to be built to be collaborative. It's got to be built from a social perspective to enable people to get the most from it. It's of course got to be secure. As we see lots of changes in legislation around privacy, data, of course it has to be secure at the highest possible level. It also has to be scalable. It's got to flex from one size of business to another. As your organizations change in size and scale, it has to be able to flex to do that. And of course, it has to be global. Again, mergers, acquisitions, changes in market perspective, all have to be dealt with. And of course, I can hear you saying, well, Robin, who can do this? Is there such a thing that's out there? Any ideas, anybody? Okay. Only brought to you by Saba. Thank you for your time. Thank you for looking at the screen with blue letters on. Any questions? Thank you very much.